Hello, in this episode I will be explaining the funnel of limits system and the framework of thinking that I use when I'm encountering some sort of boundaries, of limits, of inattentions with the things that I'm doing. And I hope that it will be useful. So I will explore it in theory. In the beginning, I'll explain what it consists of and what different parts mean. And then I will show and share actually two examples from my personal life. And it will be like the case study on how to apply it. So first of all, in the last video I shared that we all have stories in our heads. We hear them when we approach or get close to some sort of boundary, to the outside realm of our comfort zone, and some sort of story comes up. And that story defines what we do next. Do we surrender to the boundary or do we cross it? And in the context of aspiring for some sort of different life, well, the usual thing should be to cross the boundary. However, this does not happen every time. And the framework that I will share with you is exploring how those stories form and how those limiting beliefs actually form prior to those stories coming up. Because those stories are coming out of some sort of ecosystem that we have inside. And at least in my theory, this is how that system forms. The funnel has 5 layers. The first one is physical, the second one is skills and knowledge, the third one is resources, the fourth one community, and the fifth one identity. All of these work together or against each other, and they define, do we have the limits in our world? Let's explore them one by one and see what things to note about in each of the layers. The very first layer is physical. It is as basic as it can get. Is it physically possible to achieve the thing that you are trying to achieve? With the limitations of the current technology, of the current physical world that we know, and also with the limitations of your physical body. As simple as it sounds, physical. The second one is skills and knowledge. It is also a very basic one, so it is asking, do you have the skills required to achieve that goal? Do you have the knowledge that is required for that goal to be achieved? And thankfully, in today's world, knowledge is not the thing that we lack. We might lack skills because we did not have enough practice, but in general, knowledge is abundant. And we can open a YouTube video, take online course. Basically, it is free or very cheap compared to what would have been in the earlier years. This limitation is really easily overcome. However, it of course depends on the goal that you are trying to achieve. Resources is also a very simple thing to explore and to overcome. This might be money, time, some sort of physical resource like, for example, fuel, and similar things. The more tangible the goal that you are trying to achieve, the more clearly defined are the resources. However, this is not always the case. Resilience, motivation, optimism is also a resource. And how these are created, well, we will look into the deeper layers and we will see, but these are not that easily obtained, especially in the tough situations. You have to do some inner work, you need some knowledge and skills, you need to manage your physical surroundings for those to happen more effectively. So resources can be very simple, but at the same time pretty complex. And if we are talking about complex things, communities can be a very good intro into that. Most of us are part of the society. We are contributing to it, we are getting something out of it, and we always have this value exchange. Different parts of that society and your closest community, I should say, have different expectations for you. Your family has a set of expectations, your co-workers have a set of expectations, your book reading club has some sort of expectations for you. And all of those expectations are somehow trying to find the space inside you. And this is where the tension is born, because you could have expectations from your company, for example, to be there all the time, at any moment, solve all the crises. And you would have some sort of goal like be the employee of the year and get a corner office in the house. However, you also might have family. This is also a community with different needs. And you could also be like sitting late in the office and thinking about your family. And there's the tension. So the more such tensions you have, the harder the goal is achieved. And this is the thing to take into account, especially when you are trying to do something new. Why? Well, if you are trying to do something new, this means that you will change as a human. And your usual social circle actually knows how to manipulate you in a way. They know how to ask you for things, they know how to push you for some sort of things. And when you are changing, these things start not to work. And there is also some tension. When people are actually going through a huge personal change, people around them can start saying, oh, this is not you, this does not sound like you, etc., etc. And this indicates that you have made a change in your, well, human personality. You have to think about these things prior to establishing some sort of new change and try to manage all of those expectations. And most importantly, prioritize what is actually true for you and start putting clear boundaries for those social circles. This will be helpful both for you and for them. So you will all align expectations towards each other and you will have less tension when you are communicating with each other. The final and the base layer, or the foundation for everything, is identity. Identity is a tough thing to clarify because we all have different identities inside of us. All of those identities, let's call them that way, they all have different needs, and those different needs are fighting inside you. I gave an example about such tensions when I talked about being employee of the year and at the same time being father or husband of the year, for example. Although it might be doable, I'm not saying that it is not, but very often people have tensions in such polarities. You may be striving to go for the adventurous life, but at the same time you have some sort of security identity persona inside you who is saying, oh, no, don't go anywhere. We are very comfortable in this job. You don't know. Turbulent times, don't do anything stupid. And all of those are kind of fighting with each other. And the fight is happening inside of you. And this is where the tension is also born. Often those different identities can be responsible for different goals, and it is important to see, are the goals that you are trying to achieve actually aligned with your whole identity as you. If it is not, then very often the goal will not be achieved, or it will be achieved through harsh means. It will not be congruent, ecological, or sustainable for you as a human. This is very important when we are talking about long-lasting shifts in life. For example, change in lifestyle, in the work culture or profession. And these changes have to be in line with who you are truly inside. Sometimes the identity shift can be the starting point for the whole picture. People often, for example, burn out at work, or they just see that, oh, my work does not have any meaning, and they look for something different. But this realization is coming from somewhere inside of them. This means that they have changed. They may not know exactly what has changed or what do they want right now, but they notice emotionally that something is different and that the current context is not for them. And then they can see, oh, okay, so maybe which of the communities is influencing me or could be supportive for me. Then they go up and up and up. For example, do I have the resources to take time off and think about it? Then you think about it and you think, oh, okay, what new knowledge and skills do I need? And then you eventually make it physical. The chain can start at any level, and this is just your job to see what else is needed to be done on the remaining levels. So let's go through the examples. Let's do 2 case studies. I'll explain how I prepared for the marathon for the very first time, and I will talk about the fringes in general, about this project that I'm, well, shooting this video for. So, the marathon. When I was 19 or 20, I don't remember precisely right now, I decided that I will run a marathon. And was I a runner? No, I actually hated running. And this goal actually came not from the physical realm where I could say, oh, can I run it? No. Do I have the skills? No, etc. But from the identity shift. At that point in life, I was partying a lot, I was working a lot, I was smoking, drinking, doing all the bad things that were impacting my health. And at some point, I realized that, oh, do I really want to live like that? And running actually was just one of the means to an end to the healthier person. So in the beginning, what happened, I had an identity shift. I shifted from the party goer, etc., you name it, to the healthy person. At least part of that healthy person was implemented into my life. And I started to look for ways how to improve my health. One of those ways was running, physical activity. So I started to do that. Going through the filter, so leaving the identity, which already shifted a bit, I started to see, okay, can I run? Probably not. At that particular time, I could run only 250 meters without stopping. I did not have any equipment for that. I did not have shoes. It was winter, so each run was a miserable experience. Also, on the second layer, I did not have any skills or knowledge for that. I knew that people run, and I knew that people run the marathon, but I knew nothing about nutrition, about hydration, about electrolytes, about the proper running technique or the training schedule. All I knew was that I needed to run, and this is actually what I started to do. I just started to run. And each morning I would go into the field and run my, at first 250 meters, then a little bit more, then even more and more. And eventually I understood that, oh, actually I can run. Then I read a bit, understood a little bit more about the running in general, and then I understood that I can run a marathon. So marathon as a goal was just a pinnacle. Like, okay, this is a very nice goal to strive for, and this is how I will finalize all of this running thing. So the third layer of such goal was resources. Did I have any? No, I already told you. I didn't have any shoes or proper equipment, but as I progressed in my training, I got more and more of it. So I bought proper shoes, proper shorts, and all of those goodies, and I invested quite a bit, and well, everything worked out just fine. Also, the most difficult resource was time. At that particular period of my life, I would prioritize sleep as much as I could, and I was pretty busy after work. So I had to squeeze somehow my trainings because they took quite some time to do. So, well, I had to manage this resource very, very seriously. The fourth layer is communities, yeah, and I had a few different communities at that time in my life, and this is where quite some tension was created. One community was very outgoing. They were all like running, hiking, doing all the active stuff, so they were very supportive. On the other side of it was my party-going friends community, who were not that supportive because, especially during Fridays and Saturdays, because I would not go out during those days. The key reason was that on Saturdays I had the long run, and I had to be fresh. I should have slept properly, drank sufficient water prior to that day, so I couldn't go out for a beer or two and just spend night out. If I did so, I would leave early, and I would drink only sparkling water, so I was a pretty boring drinking mate at that time. And this is where people started to, hey, why are you not coming with us? Why are you leaving us? Etc., etc. So these things had to be dealt with, and somehow people eventually got used to it. Community at work was somewhere in the middle, family was supportive, so in general, the more I did it, the more it became part of me, and everybody knew that this is important for me and that I'm not actually compromising on that. And everybody got used to it, and we found other ways to spend some time together. The final one is identity, and I already started from it. But the more I did the things that I chose to do, this means running, the more it grew into me. Because I understood that, yeah, I'm actually doing that. Yeah, I'm actually learning and taking care of all of these things. that are important for that. And it actually evolved because if you are running longer distances, then you are paying more attention to your nutrition, what you are eating each day. You are paying more attention to your water intake. You are paying attention to sleep and all of the other important parts of this whole ecosystem. So just by running, I catalyzed all of the other improvements in my health. And this just strengthened the identity, not only the runner identity, but also the healthy human. Of course, I stopped smoking at the same time, so it worked out on all of the important layers for me. Speaking about shifting identities, well, you could achieve them through particular actions, but the touching fringes and all of that digitalization thing that is happening right now with my profession and career, it all began because of the identity shift. At some point, I realized that I don't want to do certain things and I want to do them differently because something inside me just clicked. I am familiar with the digital businesses, earning money from writing or creating your digital products because I learned about it quite some time ago and I have already experimented with it like 10 years or so ago. This was the area of interest that I did not pursue fully in my life. And frankly, sometimes I regretted it. This is why I started to think about it. I started to think, okay, what kind of skills do I need, etc., etc., and going through all of those layers. So the very first one, physical, is it possible? Yes, it is. As simple as that. What I don't have is knowledge. So the second layer, this is actually what I am exploring. This is part of the whole process of exploring and creating that knowledge. Creating knowledge of how to create digital products, on how to communicate about what is important for you, how to interact with people in different communities and with different needs, because in physical world it is, well, much simpler, so to say. So this is a learning journey for me, but I'm a very curious person and this is where I'm very interested in. The third layer, resources, was a challenge for me because I knew what I wanted to start experimenting with half a year ago or even more. I decided on that last September and my schedule is filled with trainings like half a year and more. So I had to say, okay, guys, I don't want to work from, let's say, January or February. Let's finish all of the projects and give me some space, like 3, 4, 5 months, as much as I need to kind of restart and refresh. Because I see that the world is going into different direction than I am currently working in. And this is why I wanted to do that shift. So allocating time, this means saving up money for the future. This means not putting some sort of responsibilities and having clear head without stress, because I can be also thinking that, oh, will the clients hire me again, or will they find something instead of me that they will be also very happy? So all of these things in the resource field, optimism especially, they had to be worked with. And I'm still working with those things because, well, I cannot live on air, so I have to somehow live in this period. I also have savings that are also melting, so I have time pressure, money pressure, and actually the motivation pressure, because I really want to do that. And I know that at least it seems like, if not now, then never. So this is the resource layer right now in my life. Communities that are my closest and important, actually, communities, they are more or less supportive for that. My family is supporting me, they are happy. Closest people at work, they are also very supportive and they are also happy. The wider community might not be that happy because some clients are disappointed because I cannot work with them. Some organizations had to delay their projects with me, so there are some tensions on this layer, and I have to still work on that, especially on the expectations for the future, because I'm not sure myself for how long this whole thing will be going. And I will explain in the next video, actually, when I will be talking about setting the goals and setting the actionable structure to work on those different layers. But basically, right now, I'm not putting myself into some sort of time frame saying that, oh, look, after 2 months, everything will be clear and I will get back. For me, the priority is not the time. For me, the priority is the knowledge and the new realized identity. I may have that identity inside, but I want to realize that in the real physical world. And speaking about identity, so it began with all of that. I was not sure what is that exactly, but right now what I'm leaning towards to is the synthesizer of knowledge for the people whom I can empower to act on their own things. Usually in their organizations, this is people who want to create significant and sustainable change in the system that they are working in. So this is, well, what I do for a living in a way. But I wanted to go globally. I wanted to go on the wider perspective and to help people in the broader scene, so to say. And this is why I chose to experiment with it. This is why I chose to do that. And well, here we are, the second video, and we are rolling. So there you go. This is the framework, and this is how it works. You actually look at those different layers and you see where you are lacking something, whether the communities that could support you, whether the identity, whether the physical needs, or some sort of resources, skills, knowledge, etc. When you have this clear picture, at least this is in my case, when I have this clear picture, it is much easier for me to do the change. And this change is brought in the complex level. It's not like I'm tackling just one layer of my identity or just one layer of resources, because all of these are connected and all of these are either motivating you or demotivating you. And the stories that we hear in our heads, they are coming from different layers of this system. So the more you address them, the more you explore them, the better your process will be, because it will be smoother, with less tension, inattention, and well, it should arrive faster, the end goal that you are trying to achieve. For me, such frameworks are very useful. This is my case. I'm not saying that these are the only layers or this is the only thing that is influencing you. But basically, if you look at those categories and try to actively work on them, then you can change the ecosystem from which those stories are coming up. And if these layers are not contradicting each other, if they are working together, then they will be motivating and supporting you. If they are contradicting and creating some sort of resistance, then you will have more tension and the stories in your head will be demotivating it. This framework can be taken also as a checklist. Are all of those layers working? Are they working in your favor or not in your favor? And you can always see, okay, where do I need to put more effort? How can I improve all of those layers so that they are helping you to achieve the things that you want to achieve? And next time I will be sharing my tips and method, actually how am I planning on all of those layers, the change process in those layers, and how am I adjusting my goals in order for them to be congruent with me as a human, sustainable in the long term, and benefiting from all of the layers that I have mentioned previously. So thank you for watching. If this video was useful for you, give it a like. If you want to see more of these videos, then subscribe to the channel. And if anything, drop a comment below. Share how you are seeing this, what topic you would actually like me to explore a bit, because, well, personal change has quite a lot of topics. And again, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.